Welcome back to another video for Yarn as a Second Language. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today I'm going to teach you how to do a V puff stitch. And right here you can see what a finished project looks like. I happened to make a scarf recently with this stitch, and I think it turns out very nicely. It's a very quick stitch. It grows pretty quick. It's not hard at all. Believe it or not, these puffs are really easy to make, and it makes projects go by pretty fast. Now you will need quite a bit of yarn because those puffs they take a lot of yarn to create. And for today's project, I am using a 5mm hook, as you can see there. And I'm also just using some Red Heart Super Saver yarn that I had around the house, and I thought that color was pretty cool. So as always, you will start the project off with a slip knot, and you can make it any way that you feel you need to. And you want to start off making a chain of multiples of 4. So I'm going to get my yarn in my hand correctly, and I'm going to go ahead and chain in multiples of 4. I believe for this small swatch I made a chain of 16. So as long as you're in a 4, you're fine. If you're making a scarf, blanket, or even a type of washcloth, as long as you stay in that multiple chains of 4, you'll be just fine. And once we get to the end here, once you make your multiples of 4, you see we got our chain there, you need to chain 2 more. Zoom in for you guys so you can see a little bit better. So there's 1 and there's 2. So you want to skip those first 2 chains that you made, and you're going to single crochet into that 3rd chain. And after you do that, you're going to chain 1, and you're going to skip the next chain. You're going to do a single crochet into the next chain. And for our base, that's going to be our pattern. After we do a single crochet, we'll chain 1, we'll skip a chain, and we'll single crochet into the next chain. So as I was saying before, this is a fairly easy pattern to do, especially if you're like me. You got to stop and start, because life happens. It's pretty easy to pick back up and get going again right away. So as we are approaching the end here, after you get to the end of your chain, which I believe we are here, we're going to chain 4. So that's what it's looking like right now. Once you get to the end of your chain, you're going to chain 4. There's 3 and 4, and then you go ahead and turn your work. Now, for this next row, what you got to do is you're going to skip the first 2 single crochets, and you're going to work into the next space. So there's 1 and 2. We're going to skip those 2, and there should be a space right after those first 2, and that's what you're going to work into. So you're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through again, and yarn over and pull through one more time. That's 3 times. And after you do that, you're going to pull your work through all those loops. And you should have 7 loops on your hook after you yarn over 3 times. Then you will chain 1, and you're going to do that all over again into the exact same space that you worked your first puff in. So there's 2, and then there's 3 yarn overs. I have 7 loops on my hook. I'm going to grab my work, and we're pulling all the way through. Now it can be a little difficult the first couple times to pull through all those loops, but you can do it. You'll start to feel it, and it will work out just fine. So you're going to skip the next 2, and you're going to go into the next, you're going to skip the next two chains, single crochet. You're going to skip the next two single crochets and you're going to that next space. So you yarn over, go through the space, pull up yarn, yarn over again, and you'll yarn over a third time. And what that is doing, as you saw in the first one, is that's creating your puff. And don't forget to do a chain after you make your first puff stitch. So we're going to yarn over. We're going to go through that space, the same space we just worked in. I believe here, I couldn't remember if I made my chain one, so I just took it apart just to make sure. You want to make it look nice, you want to make it perfect. So now we're back on track. So we're going to yarn over, pull through once, yarn over, pull through twice, and yarn over and pull through a third time. You're going to pull your work through all 7 loops. And then make your chain one. That's what it's looking like. And we've got one more space to work into. So like the other one, you'll skip the first 2 single crochets and there should be a space waiting for you, and that's the one you're going to work into. Now, one thing I always found myself doing when I'm working is, I didn't get that one all the way. I will make one puff stitch, get distracted, and move on. Then you got to pull it all apart. And let me tell you, you do not want to miss that and keep going. Because I did that and it does not work out well. So I had to cut the video just there because my little one was crying. I had to go check out, see what he was doing. So I pulled everything out and I started over. So no big deal. You did not mess up. I did. Sometimes the yarn it is hard to pull through, but I found that if you when you pull your work through, if you reach up on that work, it makes those loops a little easier to work through. They're a little looser. All right, so on your last, once you get to your last space, you are going to do a treble crochet. It's a triple crochet or a treble crochet. So you want to yarn over twice. You should have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 more. And right here, after you do that, you're going to chain 4. Once you do your treble crochet, you will always chain 4. Then we'll turn our work and we'll go through that again. So that's what it's looking like so far. I know we're moving through this pretty quick, but we are going to go through this several times, so you'll definitely get the hang of it. So now this is where your pattern starts. In between those 2 puffs is a space. From now on, that's the only thing you need to worry about working into. You're going to work into in between those 2 puffs from here on out. So you're going to yarn over 3 times, and then you can still do your single chain. Okay? So we're going to do that again right through the same space that we just got done working through. We're going to yarn over 3 times. So we have our 7 loops on our hook, and we're going to pull through all 7 loops and then chain 1. And we're going to move over to the next 2 puffs. I'm pulling some yarn right there. We'll move over to the next puff and we're going to work right in between those 2. We're going to talk about those here in a minute, the end of the project. So there's our space in between our puffs. We're going to yarn over 3 times. And we'll pull our work through. There's 2 and 3. Pull our work through. same thing in between the two puffs, yarn over 3 times, and pull our work through. Now remember when I told you that it's easy to get distracted and you move on with only 1 puff in your work instead of 2? Well, if you didn't catch it, that's what I just did right then. So I'm working on my treble crochet, and then I realize after I'm done, something don't look right. Thank goodness I caught it early, because if you're like me, you do not want to undo your work and start over. See, it doesn't look right, does it? So it's easy. Just take your stitches out, make that extra puff, and remember to count each puff in the future. There we go. Now we're looking much better. So on the end here, what you want to do is you want to find that 3rd chain, and you're going to do a treble crochet. Pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2 more. And remember, at the end, we always chain 4. And we'll turn our work, and you, I'm sure, know the pattern by now. We're going to yarn over 3 times and in between the space between the puffs. That first puff at the beginning of the row, it can be kind of difficult to pull your work through that last loop. So I kind of just use my finger and make some space and make some room to pull through. That's all I did there. So as I was saying before, you can see now this is very easy. It grows rapidly, and I think it has a cool design, in my opinion. You can use this for many different projects. Now you do want to make sure after you finish your puff, you do want to chain 1, because if you don't, you move on to the next puff stitch, it will start to pull quite a bit, and your work will just kind of like be pulled into the middle. You want to make sure you give your puff room with that single chain. So as you see, we're reaching the end of our row here, and just like before, we'll find that 3rd chain, 2, 3, and we'll work a treble crochet into that 3rd chain. So we're yarning over on our hook twice, and we'll go through that 3rd chain, and then we'll pull through 2 loops, pull through 2 loops, and pull through the final 2 loops. And as always, we will chain 4 and turn your work. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom out so you guys can really see what we're looking like right now. And as you can see, it's growing. It's only been a few minutes, and it's grown pretty quick. Now on the end here, I'm going into the 3rd chain of our treble crochet. You can go into the 4th or the 2nd. It will just make your ends a little longer or shorter. If you don't like the way the ends kind of poof out a little bit, you can shorten it up. Or if you want to poof out more, you can just go on the 4th chain instead of the 3rd. I just like the way it looks on the 3rd chain. So we're going to continue our work. After our chain 4, we will do our 3 yarn overs into that space in between our puffs. As you can see, my yarn is a little bit frayed there, so I'll pull it out, make sure I get it right, and then I'm able to do my single chain. Working our second puff into the same space. Now, I've worked this stitch on several projects in the past, and each time it looks great. And I usually will do this after I've done like a complex kind of project, just to give your mind a break. You know, I don't know if you're like me, counting and having to write down where you left off. It can get a little tiresome and makes you not even want to work on a project. So whenever I just need something quick, something I can just sit down and watch the game, or if I know I'm going to get interrupted, I know I can knock a project using this stitch out pretty quickly and without having to use my mind too much. And once again, we are reaching the end of our row. So we'll find our third chain in that treble crochet that we made before, and we'll do another treble crochet into that. And as always, we'll chain 4 after we do that. And you'll turn your work, and we'll just jump right back into it. So that's what it's looking like. As you can see, like I said before, it's pretty easy to do. Not a big deal, not a hard stitch to do at all. So let's go ahead and just complete one more row, and then we'll wrap this video up. So nothing new, you know it by now. We're going to work our 3 yarn overs in between the puff stitch and chain 1. And like I was saying before, it can be a little difficult to get your yarn through all 7 loops, but after a couple times you'll know it feels right. You'll know which angle to move your hook in order to get the whole hook through all 7 loops, and it'll become second nature very quickly. And while we're wrapping up the last puff on our row, I just want to say thank you for watching the video. If this helped you out at all, please like the video. That really helps us out a lot. And also subscribe to our videos, because we have a lot of stuff coming your way, and Nikki and I don't want you to miss anything. And make sure you check out our podcast too. We go into depth about certain things, all yarn things, and we also talk about soap and just other projects. So we've got a lot of things coming your way. So, but here it is. This is what it's looking like. Like I said, it looks good either side, so it's good for any type of washcloth or scarf. You could probably even use it for a hat. That would be pretty cool. So that's what it's looking like, and as I mentioned before, it grows quickly. It looks complicated, but as you know now, it is not that complicated at all. And I have the scarf also that I made before, so you can get a view of what it looks like with more rows added to it. And there it is. Simple, straightforward, beautiful, and I think it looks great. You're able to see a lot of detail in it, and your friends don't have to know that it's fairly easy. So again, thank you for watching this video. We really appreciate it. Please hit that like button, subscribe, and comment below. Let us know what you're going to do with this. And as always, thanks for clicking on the video, and we will see you later. Adios.